Hi guys, MichaelBtheGameGenie here, and today on Video Game Nostalgia we're going to be talking about NES games that had weirdly different sequels.
Goodbye.
So guys, today on Video Game Nostalgia we're going to be talking about NES games that had weirdly different sequels. Specifically what I mean by that is you have an NES game that then has a sequel that's kind of completely different from the original game. And what's crazy and baffling even, the games I'm talking about today are staple, pinnacle NES games. Some of the absolute best of the best, cream of the crop. These were commercial successes, and for some reason the developers just said, hey, instead of it ain't broke so don't fix it, they said it ain't broke so let's make it something completely different. I don't understand. I don't understand why they did that, but I'm so glad they did because we get to talk about it in this video, and their mind-bending choices they made of taking a masterpiece game and turning it into something completely different. I will never understand. Anyways, this one's pretty obvious. Here's the first game.
So I guess we start with the most obvious choice on this list. Castlevania is widely regarded as one of the very best games on the NES, and shows up in a lot of YouTubers' top 10 lists of games on the system. What's not to love about Castlevania? The graphics are really good for an early game on the NES, and it did an excellent job bringing the horror icons we all know and love to life. The music is incredible, from everything from Vampire Killer to Wicked Child, which I have trouble deciding which song I like more from the first game. The concept for the game is just phenomenal, taking classic horror villains and tying them all to Dracula, kinda like in the Monster Squad, probably why I tied the two together in my Halloween special a few years back. But above all else, it's the gameplay that made this game so special. I mean, it's just so fun to play. The combat is fast and fluent and leaves your pulse pounding. The level design is amazing, and I greatly enjoy making my way through every part of Dracula's castle. The boss battles are all just perfect, and I love learning the patterns of all the bosses and what special weapons work best to dispatch them. Simply, it's a masterpiece on the NES. Well, outside of the complaint everybody makes about getting knocked back when you get hit, but I mean, come on, is it really that bad? Anyways, if you have played it, you know how nearly perfect Castlevania is, and that it is simply a treat to play, barring that you don't mind your games being a little difficult, and when you do master it, it leaves you wanting more. We did get more a few years later in Simon's Quest, except this was a whole different game. Essentially, they took one of the greatest action platformers of all time and turned it into an adventure game, while retaining some of the action platformer elements, and slowing it down. Way down. The first thing I will mention is that the game is no longer straightforward. I can't tell you how much as a kid I hated getting lost in games, and this one is a doozy. Instead of starting out on a level and jumping headfirst into combat, you started out in a town talking to townsfolk with no idea where to go, and it's not like they will help you. At least not clearly. The game gets a bad rep for this, but in my later years I've really come to appreciate the exploration aspect, especially after playing the later Metroidvania games and seeing this early concept of them. When you leave the town, the combat starts, and it's good, just way slower than what it was in the first game. In the original game, you could power up your attacks by getting whip upgrades or sub-weapons. This game doesn't work like that, as you will have to purchase your whip upgrades and side weapons, but at least they are permanent. The RPG-like elements don't stop there, as you get experience for every enemy you defeat, and as your experience increases, so does your health gauge. After purchasing the necessary upgrades and making sense of the overworld, you will make it to your first mansion, which works like a dungeon in The Legend of Zelda, and these are frustrating at times because of invisible blocks in the floor that you can fall through that will take you all the way back to the start of the level. This can be overcome with spamming the holy waters on the floor to reveal holes. When you make your way to the end of the mansion, get ready for an epic boss battle. No, it's just a bag that you will need to hit with an oak stake, which is also purchased in the dungeon. There are boss battles later in the game, past where I got in my capture session, but they pale in comparison to the bosses from the first game. Overall, I really like Simon's Quest, but I will never understand why it wasn't just more of the first game, and why this couldn't have been something entirely new unto itself. Maybe then it would be looked back upon more fondly as the truly unique and groundbreaking game it was, instead of a black mark on the system. It's The Legend of Zelda, and it's pretty rad. In fact, it's one of my favorites, and in my opinion, one of the most influential video games of all time. What is shocking is that after the massive success of The Legend of Zelda, they felt the next game couldn't just be more the same. I really shouldn't have to explain what The Legend of Zelda is, but to explain why the second game is different, it's kind of important. The original Legend of Zelda is an open world game where you play as the hero Link, who needs to traverse 9 dungeons to collect the pieces of the Triforce and rescue Princess Zelda from the evil Ganon. I love the way they did the open world here with the top-down approach, as it gives an element of depth that I wasn't used to seeing before this game, and it made exploring each screen so very important and fun. The combat just felt right with the top-down approach, as well as you could see the massive enemies on each screen and start contemplating how you were going to dispatch each and every one of them. I would look forward to making it to each dungeon and trying to unravel its secrets after finding my map and compass, and would spend hours stuck looking for the next key that would let me get even farther into the dungeon and take on the boss to get my piece of the Triforce and my heart piece to increase my life. Is Zelda an RPG? I don't know, but I do know that it certainly shares some elements like increasing your hit points with every level you beat. The design I felt was perfect for what the game was trying to get you to do. Explore this world of Hyrule they were putting before you, and you felt like you were directly on the overworld map, and there was probably no more rewarding feeling than finding a secret. The Legend of Zelda, much like Castlevania, was nearly a perfect game, and us Nintendo kids eagerly awaited the next adventure in Hyrule. In what I can only describe as puzzling, they felt that The Legend of Zelda needed to be different for the sequel. Most people will immediately jump to the glaringly obvious change in the combat, as you no longer get that awesome top-down view, and now it's a side-scrolling game. And it's harder. Oh my god, it's so much harder. But there is more to the differences than that. If there is a question on whether or not The Legend of Zelda is an RPG, then Zelda 2 probably should be classified as an RPG, because it leans hard, and I mean hard, on some of the staple design elements. First off is after you leave the palace where Zelda is slumbering, you are immediately placed on an overworld map complete with random battles as you move from town to dungeons. Next is the leveling system, as you get experience from defeating enemies, and once you reach the next amount, you are given the ability to increase either your life, magic, or attack. The first two attributes can also be enhanced by finding heart and magic containers in areas off the overworld map that will add an extra bar to the corresponding attribute. Next off is the towns. When you enter the towns, you can replenish your magic or health by going into a house with a woman, and, well, it leaves it up to your imagination. As for knowing where to turn next, I think the developers of Zelda 2 talked to the developers from Simon's Quest, because most of these townspeople are useless. There are old shamans in each town that will teach Link a new magic spell that you can use to enhance your abilities, and they are usually specifically helpful for the next dungeon you have to traverse. The dungeons are hard, mostly because the combat is hard, and at times a random enemy will spell the end of your journey, and if you lose all 3 lives, it's back to the palace at the beginning of the game. It's a great game, it's just different from the original. Do some grinding in the beginning to level up, suspend your desire for it to be the first game, and get good. And you will have a lot of fun with this game. Sunsoft Batman has become one of my absolute favorite games on the NES in recent history, and that is because it is just so goddamn good. Sunsoft did a great job bringing this licensed property to the NES, while obviously taking some liberties with the source material and enemies. They managed to put out one of the best movie licensed games of all time. Graphically, it's great. I love the sprite work of the characters, and everything just looks so pretty, and the cutscenes are awesome and iconic. The music is fantastic and some of the best on the NES, but then again, it's Sunsoft, so why would you expect anything less? The gameplay is what really gets me. It's just so good. Batman controls so well, and if you die, it's nobody's fault but your own. I do want to say again how well he controls, because there is a significant amount of difficult platforming in this game that relies on a wall jumping device that, if it wasn't flawless, would probably break this game. You can either punch your enemies or use one of Batman's various projectile weapons, provided he has a stock of them built up that you collected throughout the level. Sunsoft Batman really is a treat on the NES, and if you haven't tried it out yet, I strongly suggest that you make time to do so. Sunsoft was back for a sequel, which I was fascinated with. Spoiler warning, but I mean, how can you need a spoiler warning on a nearly 30-year-old movie, but the Joker died in the first one, and I always kind of hoped he hadn't, so I was fascinated with how he was being brought back for this game. And it also has one of the coolest NES box arts, in my opinion, that captivated me the first time I saw it advertised in a magazine. I never got to play the game until I was older, and I was taken back by just how different it was from the first game. Like the other two games I mentioned in this video, it was a successful game with the same developer, who for some reason decided, if it ain't broke, let's fix it anyways, and changed his game massively. The first thing I noticed is the character sprite is bigger, and moves so much slower, and awkwardly, but that's my gripe. The biggest difference is that Batman now primarily uses guns. Yeah, guns and Batman go together like drinking and night swimming, but here we are. So it's a slower side-scrolling shooter, and you know what? It's still fun and beautiful. I mean, the music and graphics are incredible in this game, and if I was ever going to make a video on games that push the NES's hardware limits, this would be included. You make your way to the first boss fight, and it's kinda cool. You go one-on-one with the shoot-off with the first boss, and it's easy enough. Then you move on to stage 2, and halfway through, it becomes a side-scrolling shmup. Did not see that coming, but again, it's fun. I haven't been past stage 3 yet in the game, but from what I have played so far, I really enjoyed it. But it's not as good as the original, and I question why they went in this direction. What is even more surprising is they made a third Batman game for the NES, this time based off the Batman Returns movie. Sunsoft no longer held the rights, and it was helmed by Konami, who decided to yet again, for a record, change the game style. And this time, it's a straight up beat 'em up. The game is made by Konami, so you know it's going to be a quality product, but honestly, it's my least favorite Cape Crusader game on the system. The game does a good job of following the events from the movie it's based on, as you patrol the streets of Gotham taking on the Red Triangle Circus Gang in hand-to-hand combat. I find the graphics to be darker, and there is less of a pop to the levels because of it, but maybe that is just me. The combat is fine, but overall I consider it boring compared to the other two games. I don't want to speak too negatively about it because it's still really good, and I haven't really played it that much, but compared to the amazing first game, and even pretty great second game, it feels weird that this is where Batman left off on the system. I'm sure if there was a fourth game, it would have been something different again. Heck, Batman Returns was different on every system it was on. That is a topic to be discussed in another video.
So guys, those are just 3 NES games that had weirdly different sequels, or completely different sequels. You can see from what I meant in the opening, each game it's just mind-bending that they decided that after the success of the first one, they were going to do something completely different when they came back into the sequel. I don't understand why they did it. I mean, The Legend of Zelda, Castlevania, even Sunsoft Batman, all of these are pinnacle, staple games, and they're just beautiful masterpieces. So why wouldn't you just do more of the same? I don't really understand. It was this big kick in the 80s that if you were going to do a sequel, you had to do something completely different. I don't get it. I will probably never understand. Anyways, there's more games, believe it or not, on the NES that had sequels that were completely different from the original game, and I'd love to come back and talk about this again in a future video. So if you guys can think of any more games that had weirdly different sequels on the NES, let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to come back and do another one of these videos, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe I'm missing some. I counted roughly around 7 so far, so maybe there's more than that. You guys let me know. Anyways, before I go, I just want to take a quick minute to say thank you so much, everybody, for the amazing support I've seen on YouTube for my last 2 videos in the last month. I mentioned it in my games better on the Sega Genesis than on the Super Nintendo, and I said I wanted to get to 2 million views and 25,000 subscribers, and I was about 900 away from 20,000. As we sit right now, I just surpassed the 2 million view mark, which is awesome. Thank you so much. and I made it to 19,500 subscribers. So now I'm only 500 subscribers away from 20,000, which is my goal for the end of the summer, and hopefully by the end of the year, 25,000 subscribers. So thank you so much, everybody, for what you're doing. I don't know who's giving me the signal boost or who's helping. If it's all of you guys, I really appreciate it, and keep it up, man. Like, honestly, I am having so much fun doing this, and it's great getting that kind of reaction from people again. And I've been responding to all the comments, some good, some bad, and it's all fun to me, so I'm just having a great time. Anyways, guys, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing in my video game nostalgia.
Hey there! Thank you for making it to the very end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, why don't you check out one of the other videos shown here? If you really enjoyed the video, you can even subscribe to my YouTube channel. And of course, if you really enjoyed the video, feel free to check out my Patreon. It would be appreciated.